Mental health is a big subject, and with the year that we have been through with 2020 now coming into 2021, mental health under COVID. And this is a brief presentation, probably about 20 minutes long. Please listen to this, and please, if need be, just run it on double time. I talk quite quick anyway, but run it on double time, you'll get through it in about 10 minutes. But this is around understanding what mental health is, identifying how it can be seen or recognised, dealing with it where we can, and coming out stronger. So this truly is around how do we identify the signs and what can we do about it to help ourselves and others. So what is an explanation of mental health? We all have it. We all have mental health. Mental health is not a negative thing. We all have mental health, and fortunately for some of us, our mental health is good, and it is something that we need to treat as we would our health within our physical body. We treat our mental health the same ways. Unfortunately, with the stigma attached to it, mental health seems to have a negative connotation when people talk about it. It is coming through, we are getting through it, but it's associated in general with problems. And unfortunately, the last figures I could find on this, and I do believe it will have gone up, is that it will affect around 1 in 4 of us in any given year. So that's 25% of the population. And mental health, it doesn't matter what age you are, it doesn't matter what gender you are, it doesn't matter what part of the world you live in. We all have it. And in most cases, it is ours to maintain. We have a choice about how healthy we are, both physically and mentally. It is an absolute combination of many, 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 many things. It is a complex subject, how your brain works, how all those brain waves and which part of the brain is active. It is complex, and this is the key thing, you can't see it. Now, if you can't see it, nobody else can see it. And there's a lesson to be learned in there. And if we're not careful, it traps us, and it can decline on a slow basis. So it's that insidious thing. For those of you that have watched the stress management sets of slides, please go back and watch them if you haven't already. It can decline on a slow basis, so it becomes insidious, or it can happen very quickly. Generally, when it happens quickly, it's as though it's almost an over. So let's have a definition of mental health. And I will say I'm not a doctor. I have worked with tens of thousands of people in business over 3 decades, longer than 3 decades. And mental health, if we nip it in the bud, well, mental health, if we keep it healthy on a regular basis, is as good as gold. If we don't keep it healthy and we let it decline and we don't do something with it early, it can create major problems for us and for others around us. So what is a definition of mental health? Mental health is a level of psychological well-being or an absence of mental illness. Now, I'm not a doctor. I have just worked with tens of thousands of people for over 3 decades within business and within life. And I know that if we keep our mental health healthy and well and deal with things at the beginning of the situation, so we walk towards it, please have a look at the stress management programs, because it all combines together. None of this sits in isolation, as you'll hear me say over and over. If we deal with things and we nip things in the bud, our mental health stays well. If we don't nip things in the bud, it can slide. So mental health is the level of psychological well-being or an absence of mental illness. We need to stop the stigma. It's not a mental health problem. We all have mental health. It's then how we look after it. It is the state of someone who is functioning at a satisfactory level of emotional and behavioural adjustment. So think about what that means, and especially if you are running a business or you are in business, you're working with colleagues, Think about how people behave, think about how they react. Now, we all see things differently. I'm coming on to that in a minute. We all see things differently. We all behave differently because we are not the same. And please remember, with mental health, you can't see it. But mental health problems are a common human experience, and problems being in the inverted commas. So mental health is a person's condition with regard to their psychological and emotional well-being. And me being me, I looked up the word psychological, emotional and mental and looked at them over a period of time from when they were first, if you like, registered as being used, and look at the results. So use over time for psychological, which is affecting or arising in the mind related to the mental and emotional state of a person. In the 1800s, it almost wasn't in existence. 1950, it started to appear. And then probably if you look at that, maybe 1960, 1970, it started to rise on quite a high scale, and probably from the 1900s. But when you think about it, we've had 2 world wars in that period from 1900 to 1950. Now that's not long ago. I'm saying 2 world wars, yeah, 2 world wars. And of course there's been wars every day since, so I'm reliably informed. We've always been at war somewhere in the world. So look at how it started to increase. Now look at the word emotional, a strong feeling. Now I don't know what you think about this, but emotions are one of those things with especially in the UK, the stiff British upper lip, if you like. It's not always been spoken about. It's not the norm to speak about emotions. And if you look at the use of the word, because that's what these graphs show, 1800 it didn't exist, 1850, 1900, look at 1950, it's beginning to start and then it plateaus out, but probably from, what's that, 1980, maybe 1990, it starts to rise. So it is becoming more common to use the word emotional and to talk about it. And then if you look at the word mental, so originating from Latin meaning mind, it's on a pretty consistent growth. So even at 1800, it was a word that was being used regularly, and it's a consistent upward growth, but not as extreme as the other two. So make of that what you will. I thought it was really interesting. So what happens? And this is where we see things differently. So what do you see? You see a blue oblong. Now, if I was the other side of this, what I might see is a yellow oblong. So the perceptions are we see things differently. And the key point is that we do see and experience things differently, which means that all of us are different and will have different responses and reactions to anything and everything. And remember, you can't see mental health. You can't see this happening. You can't see the different perceptions that we have of different things. We are not all of the same, that is for sure. And good mental health means being generally able to think, feel and react in the ways that you need to and want to live your life. I'm going to come back to that. So what's happened in 2020 coming through into 2021? This is key timing for this. And when you look down this list, actually, regardless of whether we are in the pandemic that we're currently in, these things affect mental health at any point, in any decade, in any year, in any situation. Isolation, restrictions, financial and business have, take hits constantly. The unknown, uncertainty, deaths within the family, within the business, within anybody around you, colleagues, friends of, illnesses, mixed messages, so really think about communication on that one. Fear, think about what that means. Trust, lack of trust. Free speech, lack of free speech. Rumours, gossip mongering, the rumour mill, and media in all its glory. So from social media to TV to print, all of these things affect how we operate and affect our mental health. So really think about what can you do to not have some of these things negatively impact you or those that you're working with. They create worry, they create anxiety, which are both forward-focused emotions. If we don't deal with the worry and the anxiety, it can lead to depression, it can lead to panic attacks, and ultimately it can lead to suicide. And suicide is the extreme version of poor mental health in reality. So how can you do something with this, and what can you do? So recognizing the symptoms. Good mental health means generally being able to think, being able to feel, being able to react in the ways that you need to and want to live your life. So think about where you are now and how that is operating. And impaired mental health means being unable to think, feel and react in the ways that you need to and want to live your life. So specifically now, worldwide, we are being restricted, perhaps on what we need to and want to do. So think about how that is affecting you, or potentially is affecting you, and potentially affecting those around you. We can't assume it is, because it won't be for everybody, and it will for some. So what can you do to support A, yourself, and then B, others? And we have to look after self first before we can look after others. So some of the signs, there's quite a few, but this is just some of the signs. So uncontrollable overthinking, manage what the voice in your head is doing for you. Problems with your memory or concentration, so can you focus or not? Feeling of dread, panic or impending doom. Feeling irritable and losing your temper quicker than you would normally do. It's a sign of conflict, internal conflict, let alone what you might be experiencing with anybody else. Heightened alertness, so you're more aware. Troubled sleeping or sleeping too much. Loss or increase in appetite, food, alcohol, nicotine, drugs, sex. I'm not going to read down the right hand side of this. You can do that for yourself, but start to think about how and which of these may be affecting you. I will talk about one on the right hand side, which is about feeling low, lack of smiles, lack of laughter, lack of interest. If you are smiling less and laughing less, put something in front of you that will make you laugh or smile. So I regularly look at comedy that I find amusing. And another thing you can do, it's a top tip, really simple one: stand up, stand bolt upright as though you've got a metal rod up your back, put your head back, look at the ceiling and laugh out loud. There's a psychological shift happens when you do that, because you cannot have a negative and a positive thought in your head. And if you truly laugh out loud, it changes how your whole body operates and what's going on in your mind. And think about the contact, think about how you are communicating and connecting with others. We need contact with humans, we're pack animals, so think about how you operate with that. And then disassociation. If you disassociate, you might feel like that you're not connected to your own body, or like you're watching things happen around you without feeling it. Really think about, if you have got into that position, think about what you need to do and who you need to talk to. So coming out stronger, and this is vital for all of us, all of the time, and especially in this world. And this relates to the younger generation as well. This is not just, I'm going to say, for adults, this is for children as well. Coming out stronger, we need to talk. We need to talk, we need to share the load, we need to talk, we need to get it out of our own head and out of our own being into the world, to ask for help. And if you're asking for help, take notice of the advice you're being given. Sometimes if we get into these positions, we ask for help, but then we don't listen and we carry on doing what we've always done. So think about, ask for help, and then take different steps to do things differently. Ask questions, find out what's going on as much as you can in any arena. Listen to what's being said, and if we are being the person that's being asked for help, actively listen to what's being said, read between the lines, ask the questions to get to the truth of what the real problem is. Help as many others as we can. We all need it at various times for various reasons. And please remember, help yourself first. That's not selfish. If you're not particularly well, great, in a good position, it's going to be really difficult to help others. Although, of course, we can all listen, and please don't take it on board into your own being, because that won't help you either. Do not rest on your laurels and pivot. Now, if I've heard that word once through the last year, I've heard it a lot, but it's actually very true. We need to be able to look at what we're doing and work out how to do things differently. It's the good old Einstein saying, which I come back to time and time again. If you do the same thing over and over and over and over and over and over and expect a different result, it's Einstein's definition of insanity. So let's look at what we do and change it. I say that very simply. It's not quite as easy as that, but of course we can all do something. And then on a really, I am going to say, an easy note, we need to eat well. The better nutrition we put in our bodies, the more water we put in our bodies, not so that we drown ourselves, but the better we eat, the better our body will operate for us. As well as exercising, it will help us get out of the place. You know, going for a walk in nature really does potentially change how you think things through. Fresh air, get into your lungs. There's a reason why we're told to do these things from the medical profession, and it doesn't always get linked together. Meditate, learn how to relax your mind, however you do that, but learn how to relax your mind to stop the internal chatter, and meditation is a good one for doing that. So talk is one thing, writing a journal is another. Write, get it out of your system, whatever it is, get it out. Once it's out, it can minimize itself. And then purely on a financial level, minimize your outgoings and maximize your incoming if that's what you need to do. But minimize your outgoings, maximize your incoming, and learn to operate within an adjusted world, however we do that. I'm talking to a few people currently who are saying, when it gets back to normal, and part of me is thinking, is it ever going to get back to normal? What is normal? What was normal? I'm listening to people talking about the new normal. If we pivot and we are fleet of foot and agile of brain, we will be able to operate within any world. And I say that in complete humility because I know not everybody can do that. But the more we are open and adaptable to change, the better off we are going to be, without any doubt. So think about where you are and where the people around you are as well, and support everybody as much as you possibly can. If anybody wants to talk to me about any of this, genuinely, it's an open offer. connect@clapham.global. Send me an email, find me on social media, ask me the questions. I'm more than happy to have conversations. I am more than happy to help where I can, and do what I can, wherever I can, however I can. And there is only one of me. And I do know people who can support if you need support more than I can provide with this. You know, I've had my own stress issues in the past. I've had my own mental health issues more recently because of death within the family that affected me badly. So I record these recordings with humility, with some personal experience. I have supported people who have been very unwell with their mental health that have been close to me in the past as well. So I don't speak from inexperience. And where we are currently with this wonderful world that we live in, and it is a wonderful world, we are going to need to be doing more to help others if we are well. So please connect with me, talk to me, send me messages, whatever you need to do, and I will respond.